Now, all over the world, everyone wants to be frugal. Is the term on the streets these days. Everyone wants to be frugal in an aim to achieve and save money and enhance their financial freedom journey. People rush into frugality without thinking about what the choices they need to make are and how it could affect their daily lives or even the mistakes that they could encounter that could further derail their financial abilities. Now, today I'll be talking about 5 mistakes that people do when they're trying to be frugal, or 5 frugal living mistakes that you should avoid in order to ensure that your frugal life is lived properly and not in a haste or not in the wrongful way. One of the biggest thing that people do when you're trying to be frugal is thinking that frugal means cheap. Definitely not the same thing. Now, frugal people would want to get things at a cheaper price, but that doesn't mean that they skimp on the quality of an item and go just to get the cheaper products. No, it means that you try and see that the thing that you want at the value that you want, you check and see areas that you can buy it more or less, or the different shops that you can get it at a lower rate compared to the other. It doesn't mean that you completely skip on the item and choose a cheaper alternative. Of course, obviously, there are sometimes that maybe the cheaper alternative is of the same quality as the item that you want. In that case, it doesn't mean that you're getting it for cheap. It means you're getting it at the same value. Now, one thing that people do is that, for instance, if someone wants to maybe buy a certain brand of milk from a particular shop that they're used to, because they become frugal, or they think they've become frugal, they end up buying maybe the cheaper option, which is maybe smaller or even much lighter in quantity than what they're used to. Now, what happens is that they bring it to their houses, and because it's not of the same value, they either use more of it or they use less of it eventually, which means that they're either using more and buying more of it, or they're using less and it's going spoiled and they're wasting money. Either way, so you're spending more money than you could possibly use because you stopped the valuable item that you're buying and you've opted for the cheaper item. Some people may even travel maybe 3 miles or 4 miles just to get something cheaper in a different shop compared to the shop closest to them. In that case, you've driven your car or you've taken the bus. That costs money. That's also added to the price of the item that you're buying. So in various ways, most of us want to maybe save a little bit of coins, and we end up spending more than we should have just because we're trying to be cheap. Frugal people do not skimp on quality for cheap. They do not go for cheaper alternatives just because they want to save money. They choose what is most valuable and will last longer, and it will be of benefit value, considering the time and their money, to ensure that you're not wasting both, because those are the most important items that they could ever value. Another issue that I personally encountered when I wanted to live a frugal life is that you think you want to change everything at once. You want to deprive yourself of things at once. Now, there are so many fun activities that you can do at a discounted rate or even budget for that would certainly live well within your frugal life, and that you don't have to deprive yourself of. You don't have to rush into frugality, think that you have to leave all your fun activities and all your family activities behind. No, you have to plan and see areas that you can save money and time whilst doing these activities. So if it was possibly maybe traveling to maybe a luxurious 5-star hotel or even 5-star resort center, you look at things or even discount prices or things that would help you to lower the cost, not necessarily missing out on the experience, but ultimately having it at a lower cost for your time and for your value. There's always so many things that you could do. You could even go to the park, take a walk with your family, maybe rent a movie and watch it at home, maybe go to the cinema, rather than just, spending so much money just to feel good. Frugality isn't about you stopping yourself or depriving these things from yourself. No, it is about creating time and having the value for money that you deserve and ensuring that you use it wisely. Maybe you don't have to even go to that 5-star restaurant and spend maybe £300. You could possibly maybe have a cook at home dinner that you could set a table for and ensure that you're having some nice quality time with your partner at home, with a candle-lit dinner, some wine, and whatever food that you opt for. That could even cost cheaper than that 5-star restaurant, and even you would have more experience at home because you're alone with your partner and you've got the atmosphere for yourselves. Now, these are things that you can improvise to ensure that you're saving money and still enjoying the fun bits of life and not leaving everything behind. One reason is that because you're depriving yourself of these things and you rushed into frugal living, you start to deprive yourself of the fun things that you had with your friends and your family. Eventually, it wears you out and you go back into these things even more, spending worse than you probably were before, because now you've missed out so much that you're trying to, grab everything you can. And that's how you end up wasting so much money. So ensure that before you rush into things with frugal living, you understand that you don't have to deprive yourself. You can always do those things. Just make sure that you're doing them at a reasonable rate, time, and value for your money. One of the third biggest mistakes that people do when they want to be frugal is buying things they don't need just because they're on sale. Now, one philosophy I live by is if I would not buy it for full price, I'm not buying it just because it's on sale. We're telling you to buy things on sale because it will save you money, but we're not telling you to buy things that you don't need or things that you think will look good in your kitchen or in your house when you don't even have value or need for it. That is not frugality. That is you just buying things because you want to buy them. Now, there's always going to be a sale from one shop to another. Even the shop that you think are having a sale now would probably have a sale in a month or two. If you think that the item that you're buying, you don't need it yet, it is best to hold on to it and wait until you actually need it before you buy it. Otherwise, you end up filling your home, your kitchen, your pantry, your bedroom with useless things that would eventually be thrown out or not be useful, which means that you've wasted money on there. Now, a lot of people, love sale. Everyone loves a sale. But what you don't want to do is to spend all your money during a sale, which you wouldn't have spent if there was no sale, just because it's a sale. If you don't need it, don't purchase them, regardless of how affordable they are. The fact that, there are 7 MacBooks on sale at Curry's PC World doesn't mean I'm going to buy all 6, MacBooks just because I only need one. And that is all I need. And the fact that they're on sale doesn't mean that I have to buy everything. Literally, that's what it means. You go to the market, you buy maybe lots of tissue, thousands of tissues just because there's a pandemic and people are buying and stockpiling. That doesn't mean that you have to do the same thing. You don't need it. Eventually, if it goes over and things are on sale, you've ended up piling up things that you don't probably need, which will become waste in your house that you will throw away. Now, I mentioned stockpiling earlier, and that's the 4th thing that I want to talk about. It's one of the funny things that frugal people do, which is stockpiling. That is when you go maybe to the grocery shops and you see that an item that you wanted to buy, this time you want to buy it, you need it. And so you see that it's on sale, and because it's on sale, you buy so many packs of it. Let's take, for instance, you want to buy maybe tomatoes in a can or maybe fruits in a can or something. You need it for that week, but because you go to the shop and you see that it's on sale, or because Lidl's or Sainsbury's or Tesco's are having a sale, you buy maybe hundreds of them and you keep it at your house. Now, provided you needed it at that time, but you needed only a certain amount of it. Now, if you're unable to use all of these items during the time and stipulated time that you needed it, it ends up going to waste. You end up keeping it in your pantry that you probably would never use because you needed just 1 or 2 for a recipe. So don't stockpile on things that you don't need. As mentioned earlier, always buy what you need at the value and time that you need it. Not just because you think that you would need it maybe for the future. Because if you don't need it in the future, it ends up going to waste, and that could have been money you could have saved for something else. Stop stockpiling. You don't need to pile up groceries in your pantries when you don't need it. Only buy however much you need. I understand one of the habits of frugal people is buying in bulk, and those are things that you actually need. For instance, tomato purees. If you're African like myself, you make jollof rice, you make soups, you make stews, you need them once. So with that one, I personally would buy them in bulk. But if you're someone who hardly cooks, someone who hardly makes stews or soups, someone who maybe loves noodles, and you go and you buy these tomato purees in packs and bulk, you end up wasting so much money because you don't need it. So make sure that you're buying them because you need them and not because they're just on sale. Now, one way that frugality can cost you more money than you even thought you could is always looking to buy secondhand items. I'm all for people wanting to thrift store and buy secondhand items and buy used items that they think will provide value for them. But there's always a limit to these things. It's not everything that you have to buy secondhand. You don't need to buy cups or plates secondhand. You don't need to buy baby cribs in secondhand. These are things that are hygienic things that you need to ensure that, even if you're going to buy them, they're of great value and they've been cleaned and, sterilized properly. You don't want to buy anything just because it's on sale or it's because it's secondhand and you bring it to your house and it creates more problems. I mean, especially with this season that we are in, we know how much, germs and viruses can cause an outbreak of diseases. And so you will need to ensure that you're not buying everything just because it's on sale or because it's secondhand. Make sure that the items you're buying are not for personal use. Medicinal things shouldn't be bought secondhand. You shouldn't be buying cribs and mattresses on secondhand. You don't know what things have been done on that mattress. You don't know the maggots or the insects that could be living in there. The germs, the bodily fluids that could have gone onto that. You need to ensure that you put your hygiene and your family's personal hygiene in front before you buy anything secondhand. Of course, also once you're buying the items that you could buy secondhand, you want to ensure that they're in good condition, because sometimes sometimes there might be hidden cracks that you probably wouldn't know, and then you bring it to your house and then it breaks within a week or two or a month, and you end up wasting so much money and having to replace it. So always make sure that you're weighing the value of the secondhand item compared to maybe you buying it afresh or buying it new, because maybe it will last longer, maybe you've got warranty on that. Just always think about it, okay? And also, there are things that, as I said, you should never ever buy secondhand. These are personal things. Ensure that whilst you're trying to live frugal, you're thinking about the things that you do, and don't make these mistakes, to ensure that you're saving the best of your money, because sometimes being too frugal could cost you more money than actually living maybe normally or not even frugal. So make sure that whilst you're looking to live frugally, you're taking into account these things that I've mentioned and ensuring that it works well for you. Now, if you love this video, make sure you check out these last 2 videos that I created, and make sure that you subscribe to my channel as well. Like this video because it helps me a lot, and I'll see you next week. Bye, guys.